Welcome to vSkills YouTube channel. In this video, you will learn about the top interview questions for API testing. So, let's get started. Question number 1. What do you mean by API? The answer is API expands to Application Programming Interface, which is an interface to connect, access and transfer data among different computing systems. It is needed so that different systems can interact and share data among them. For example, data is being shared amongst social media applications like Google and Facebook. Question number 2. Why API testing is required? The answer is API testing enables the tester to secure requests that might not be allowed through the UI, which is essential for detecting potential security defects in an application. Because differences in software occur at such a speedy pace today, it's significant to have tests that give fast feedback for developers and testers. Question number 3. Does API testing require coding? The answer is the testing does not constitute the source code. The API testing program helps to thoroughly understand the functionalities, testing methods, input parameters and the performance of test cases. Complete the test cases and compare expected and real results. Question number 4. What do you understand by browser APIs? The answer is browser APIs are the APIs that evolve built-in with the browsers. They enable developers to implement complex operations without administering the sophisticated lower-level code. Question number 5. How is RESTful API implemented? The answer is the implementation consisted of running the code from the unit tests into the APIs and then refreshing the tests to summon those APIs. The modified certificate method, that gives the implementation for the certificate's resource put method, was the most difficult REST API to implement. Question number 6. What are the different API methods? The answer is the first or most commonly used HTTP methods are GET, POST, PUT, PATCH, and DELETE. There are a number of other verbs, too, but are utilized less frequently. Question number 7. What is the API framework? The answer is API frameworks are code institutions that contribute commonly used functionality when establishing our own web APIs, application programming interfaces. Question number 8. What is an IoT API? The answer is the Application Program Interface, or API, is arguably what really ties collectively the associated things of the Internet of Things. IoT APIs are the forces of communication between an IoT device and the Internet or other elements within the network. Question number 9. What are the common tests performed on APIs? The answer is, the different types of API testings are: first, unit testing and integration testing. Second, performance and load testing. Third, runtime error detection and security testing. Fourth, interoperability and fuzz testing. Fifth, validation testing. Question number 10. Why SOAP is more reliable than REST? The answer is SOAP is more reliable than REST as it practices WS security for transmission with a secure socket layer. Also, SOAP is stateful as it takes the whole request as a whole, unlike REST which gives independent processing of various methods. No independent processing is there in SOAP. Question number 11. How API testing is performed? The answer is API testing is performed by using various API testing tools during the development and execution of API test cases. API testing requires the configuration of test cases on API testing tools. Question number 12. What is API testing and manual testing? The answer is API testing and manual testing refers to the testing of API manually instead of automation testing of API. Test cases are executed manually, results are stored and analysis is done manually. Question number 13. Is JSON an API? The answer is no, JSON is not an API as it is a data format for exchange over various protocols like HTTP. JSON expands to JavaScript object notation. JSON has two types of data stores, attribute value pairs and array data types. Question number 14. What is REST API in testing? The answer is REST expands to representational state transfer. REST API in testing is used to test REST API which is widely used in web applications especially web services being developed for new age companies like startups. Question number 15. What are the different types of API? The answer is, the different types of API are UDDI, SOAP, REST and XML RPC. Question number 16. What are the best tools for API testing? The answer is: the best tools for API testing are many, like SOAP UI, Postman, JMeter. It depends upon the testing requirements for the selection of appropriate tools for API testing. Question number 17. How does an API work? The answer is: APIs communicate through a set of rules that define how computers, applications or machines can talk to each other. The API acts as a middleman between any two machines that want to connect with each other for a specified task. Question number 18. What is Agile methodology in testing? The answer is: Agile methodology in testing means testing as per Agile principles, which involves continuous testing as per continuous development or delivery of software during software development life cycle. Testing and development take place simultaneously. Question number 19. What is a test case in manual testing? The answer is: a test case in manual testing refers to a group of actions done to verify a function or feature of software under test. An example test case in manual testing can be checking output by software when invalid login details are given. An error screen comes up. The test case will need details like username, password and conditions for success and failure, and henceforth, result. Question number 20. Can Selenium be used for API testing? The answer is: yes, Selenium is used for API testing but supports web browser-based automation testing. Hence, Selenium will need an API testing tool and will provide automation in API testing. Question number 21. Is API a software? The answer is: API is not a software but rather just an interface to provide data exchange and functionality among different software applications or processes. As API provides access to data and functionality, it can be thought of as software that fulfills our needs. For example, an authentication service is provided by Google to different websites for one-click login. Question number 22. What is an API gateway? The answer is: API gateway acts as a gateway or single point contact for various API-based services. It optimizes requests for different APIs. It can route, optimize and provide a simple interface for data and functionality access instead of accessing multiple APIs like authentication service provided by Google to different websites for one-click login. Question number 23. What is URI in REST API? The answer is: URI stands for Universal Resource Identifier. URI in REST API is the endpoint for access to data and functionality by REST API. Question number 24. What are web APIs applied for? The answer is: web APIs are very helpful in the implementation of RESTful web services utilizing the .NET framework. Web API assists in facilitating the development of HTTP services to stand out to clients, things like devices, browsers, or tablets. ASP.NET Web API can be practiced with MVC for any type of administration. Question number 25. What is API performance testing? The answer is: API performance testing refers to the testing of API for verification and validation of performance parameters as provided by the customer. It usually includes load testing and functional testing. Question number 26. How do you do API testing? The answer is: API testing is done by using various API testing tools during the development and execution of API test cases. API testing requires the configuration of test cases on API testing tools. Question number 27. Why is API needed? The answer is: application programming interface is needed so that different systems can interact and share data among them. For example, data is being shared among social media applications like Google and Facebook. Question number 28. What is the API example? The answer is: API example is data being shared among social media applications like Google and Facebook. Another example is the authentication service provided by Google to different websites for one-click login. Question number 29. Is JMeter good for API testing? The answer is yes, JMeter is good for API testing, especially REST API. JMeter is an open-source tool and used for performance or load testing. Question number 30. Is RPC an API? The answer is: RPC is the earliest, simplest form of API interaction. It is about executing a block of code on another server, and when implemented in HTTP or AMQP it can become a web API. For more such videos, subscribe to our channel.